everybody, I'm Jim from Come Play With Us, and today I'm going to be going through Tamashii, Chronicle of Ascend, the brand new game from Awaken Realms. I'm looking at, this is a retail copy of the game, so it has standees here instead of the minis, but otherwise I think it's pretty much the same. So I'm going to go, in this video I'm going to go through setup and do a quick play through a few turns until I can show you basically all the mechanics in the game, and then we'll cut it there, and I'll come back later with a review of the game after I've played it some more. So to start setup, you're going to pick one of these player boards. They come in 4 different colors. There's 4 different players. They are differentiated by more than the color, though. There are different classes you'll note here, and that's your starting body. You'll have different stats and special ability than the other players, and you also have a different core data to start with. Okay, and let's go through setup. First thing we do is we'll place all our tokens and stuff on the board. I've got the tokens off to the side here because there's quite a bit to go through. We've got more tokens here. As you can see, these trays actually come with the game, so it's nice. You just pull the trays out and all the tokens are sorted and ready to go. And to start this game, so I picked my player color blue. This comes in 2 pieces. You'll have a player board, then you have this dump board. This dump board just kind of slots in here nicely like that. Again, you're going to take your core data for your starting core data for the character you took. Mine's blue, so you take that, and these are double-sided, by the way. There's 4 different colors, of course, to match the 4 basic colors here. Okay. Then I'm going to take these generic cubes that mark all your tracks, and you're just going to start on all the tracks. Put those in here. They don't quite fit in these. This is a double layered player board. You can see the cubes don't quite fit, but it's not too bad. At least they don't slide around. And then you have this piece in your color. This is to mark your max health to start the game. You'll see the squares highlighted here. That goes in there to mark your max health, and then you'll just drop a cube in there to mark your current health. Okay. Another thing is at the beginning of the game, this row here is blocked, so you'll throw in these block tokens to start the game. Block off that, and these can be upgraded, removed during the course of the game to kind of upgrade your character. Okay, I got the other thing you're going to do. So the other thing that comes with your class, you do get a deck of class augments. So this is kind of another way for you to upgrade your character. I'm going to be playing solo, so you'll notice there's 2 starting cards here, regular starting card, and then one that says solo on it. Like that. See the solo, and then those will give you kind of the starting abilities. So there's that one. This is the solo one, and this is the regular starting ability. This one will be available. These are available from the start of the game. This one will be in every game. And like I said, this one here will be just if you're playing solo or PvP. Start with this one. Okay. And those 2, so the starting augments go to the side here, right there. Okay, and the other thing when you start with, you'll get 2 learning protocol cards. These guys, they look like that, so I'll get 2 to start. These are the 2 I start with here. And you pick one to start the game. This is basically going to be your goals for the game. So pick one that makes sense for you. I'm just going to pick this one here. which will have some starting goals for me. Got lined up properly. So those will be my starting goals for the game. That gets slotted up there. The other one goes back in the box. And then the last thing you got to do is you need to get your starting resources into your bag. For that, you're going to take 3 of each color and put it in your bag. So I'll take 3, 1, 2, 3 red, 1, 2, 3 blue, 1, 2, 3 green, 3 yellow, and then you'll get an extra of your starting color, so I get an extra blue. And those all go into your bag. Okay? The bag builder, so that's where you're going to be drawing your color, your resources from. So that finishes basically the player setup. I'm also playing with this bot because I am playing solo. So in the solo game, you start with a bot. Okay. This is the bot's Jordan bot, and he's got a set of batteries that he will use, and as far as that full batteries, and basically you can do actions with him instead of your own character, and that will use a battery, and then once you're out of the batteries, then he's removed from the game. And his instructions are on his card. He also has an action here that he can do. Okay, so that's it for the basic player setup. Then you're gonna find your scenario. I don't know if that will show up good there. Let me get that lined up. So this is the scenario. I'm doing the first scenario in the game. This X6039 is the scenario I'm going to be doing. In the scenario will have a little story, and then it'll have inside, you'll have the setup instructions, so I'll show you the map and some basic instructions, and on the back it'll have some rules that are specific to the scenario. So that's what that looks like. So I've already set up the board here, so I set it up as per the scenario, and then special for this scenario, these tokens get placed out on 4 of the tiles, and then every scenario you're going to put on the unrevealed tiles, you're going to put these exploration tokens. So one of those goes on each unexplored, and in this one we're starting on the shelter over there. So those are Sandies are starting over there. We will be using the P series of the scenario cards. So every scenario will have a deck of cards associated with it, and the first scenario card will be this one. So you can read that if you want, but that's basically the starting. I'll read that out before we start. So I'm just going to put the deck here with the one on the top. So for this scenario, we also get a special enemy. This guy here is going to go beside the enemy deck. That guy. It's a missile strike. So we'll put that by the enemy deck. And then we have to make the enemy deck. So for this one, we need 2 times the player count of level 1 enemy cards, 3 times the player count of level 2 enemy cards, and then all the enemy level 3s. So I will shuffle up the level 3s here. Here's the level 3s, and then I need 3 times player count of level 2, so I'm so that's just get 3 off the top here. Go on top here, and then I need 2 times player count level 1, so 2 level 1, 2 level 1s, and that's my enemy deck. I will put those up here by the missile strike. Okay. And then we got to build our corrupted data pool. For this one, there's going to be 4 times player count, so I need 4 corruption tokens. So we'll get those over here. 4 corruption tokens. 4 corruption tokens that go into this corrupted data pool over there. Also with this one, there's 2 factions in this one, so I've already set these up, but the factions each come with their own augment deck. So Seekers and the Commoners. Those are similar to your class augment deck, but they're a little different. So you can get augments from factions as well as your own augments. That's it for that setup. Also, you'll have a body deck, and you'll draw player count plus 1 bodies to start the game. So you'll have 2 to start here. These are bodies you can upgrade to. Okay, I think that's it for all the setup. I'm not going to read this scenario because I don't want to do any spoilers. So I'm just going to skip the story for this scenario. But I'll read some of the special rules. So for the corrupted data, if there are no tokens in the corrupted data pool, so if this pool here is empty and you have to gain one, then you're going to draw scenario card P11. And then we have these dice tokens here, like I said, was special for this scenario. Those ones, in this scenario, they represent potential building locations for the Seekers transmitters. They are on the map at all times and cannot be moved unless the game tells you to discard them. The symbol on the token shows how difficult it is to build a tower in a district. And additional rules, when a district tile with one of those tokens is revealed, we have to reveal that token. So that's all the special rules for this scenario. And so now we can basically ready to start the game. So I'm going to read the first scenario card. I'll read the story for this card, and then the effect. So this one's called Lay of the Land. You are to find at least 2 locations suitable for building the transmitters. The places must have easy access to the net and should probably be slightly elevated so that the signal covers a wide area. Amy once again reminds you about Ascend's increased activity and about the possibility of encountering enemies equipped with advanced tech. You must be precise and determined, and be quick, as Ascend won't wait until you're finished. So the immediate effect is we're going to set the timer on our time track to 6 minus player count, so we're going to start timer at 5. Okay, this guy's good on 5. Okay, and then, then we're going to put the card in. The back of the card is going to tell us what our goal is. So we'll put that, so we can put that up here so you can see the goal, what that looks like. Get that lined up properly. There you go. So the goal for this right now, for this part, is to scout at least 2 locations indicated by the Seekers. So we'll have to scout at least 2 of these question mark locations. And that's the main goal for this first part of the scenario. Okay, so we can start. So the game comes with these nice reference cards here. So we have turn order 1 here, so that tells you basically the sequence of the turn order and all the phases and everything. I'll go through all that. On the back of that card, it gives you what you can do to upgrade. And then you also have 2 other cards. One that tells you basically how all the what the basic patterns are and what they give you. On the back of that, it tells you what all the data tokens mean and basically how you can use them. And then there's one more card that tells you the combat phase, all the steps in the combat phase. And if you die, and you will die, they call it resetting. The rules for resetting, it's all on there. So basically all the rules are on those 2 cards, so it's very nice. Okay, so let's start the game. Okay, so turn order. This first phase is simultaneous. We're solo, so it doesn't really matter. There's a trace roll step, which we'll skip in the first round because our trace here is at 0, but as you gain trace, this will move up the track. And you'll see here, as the farther up the track you get, the more dice you have to roll. So, eventually you'll have to start rolling these dice. and if you get this symbol here, then enemies will attach to you, and you'll have enemies to do that. But because we're just starting, we have no trace, so we just skip that step. And the second step is to fill our launch area. And you do that by drawing tokens from your bag. So we're just going to mix up the tokens in this bag here. So I'll give it a shake. And you draw out tokens until you fill out all these light areas on your board. And you start top to bottom, left to right. You start over here. Filling these up. Oops, that's from another game. I shouldn't have one of those. I should have checked to make sure my bag was empty before the starting token. Okay, so now my launcher is full. So that ends the refill launcher step, and the next step is the program step. So the program step is we're going to move these things around and try to make patterns to execute different abilities. So I guess I'll throw this back up again. So you can see on here the basic patterns that we can execute. So for each color, if you get 3 in a row, then you basically get to draw, or you get to move up on one of these tracks. So in the case, if I get 3 in a row blue, I get to move up on the memory track. If I get 3 green, I move up on my shield track. 3 yellow moves up on the reroll track, and 3 red will move up on the combat dice track. So those are the basic patterns you can make. If you make a 5 in a row pattern with all the same color, it's kind of like you get a bonus step, so you move up 2 steps instead of 1. And then of course there's the wild one up. So if you get 1 of each in a row, then you get basically an experience point, and that experience can be spent to upgrade. Okay. There's one other pattern that you can. There's a couple other patterns you can execute here. So this robot here has a pattern to recharge its batteries. You don't need to do that right now; it's fully charged. And then the other thing is the bodies. They also have patterns. As you can see on here, there's patterns over here. And that pattern over there, if you can get that pattern, then you can buy that body and replace your starting body with one of these bodies up here. Okay, so that's probably a good first step, is to try to get one of these better bodies, because your starting body's not great. You'll notice these here are the combat actions you get. So you've only got 2. Some of the like this one here, the rogue, has 3 combat actions. Also, you'll notice you only get 1 attack die, and you move 2. That's not very good. And your starting ability for the blue character is during the launch step. We can dump a blue to prepare 2. So what that means is I could dump one of these blue ones and draw another 2 tokens into the launcher. But you'll notice if I dump 1, I only have 1 space available to launch it, to prepare in. So not a good move at this point. So that's it for the special moves. So that's what I'm going to be looking for at programming. So I'm probably going to look at one of these 2. We can look at these 2. So the assassin has 3 move. I'm going to put this guy back in here, but he has 3 move, 3 attack, 4 programming, and during the combat phase, he can resolve all player attack roll effects before enemy roll effects. That's pretty nice. That's a nice ability. You can see that here. It explains here. And then the rogue. During the combat phase, each time you deal any amount of damage to an enemy, you can prepare 1. So that's interesting. And you got 3 move, 3 attack, 5 programming, and like I said, he has 3 attack slots. And the pattern only requires 5 tokens instead of 6, so this one's a bit easier to execute. So we'll look at these 2. So the assassin's out right away because I need 3 green and I only have 1, so I can't do the assassin. I could do the rogue, so probably go for the rogue pattern. The rogue pattern has this, I'm gonna get the yellow. I actually look like I'm pretty close to that pattern. So patterns, you can rotate them any way to execute them, you just can't mirror them. So It can just be rotated around. So I kind of need this yellow up front. So I need a yellow, blue. Well, I just need, so I've got 4 programming, which means I can move 4 in this launcher. I can move these 4 around. Now you can move to an adjacent spot. You can't go diagonal. And then you can switch to tokens that are beside each other. Of course, none are beside each other right now. But so if my first one, if I move this here, that completes the top part here, the red, blue, yellow. So that's good. And then second, I can do 2, 3, and oh no, that's not gonna work. 2, 3, so 2, 3. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do this, I don't think. So I gotta go there, and I still need to move that red one. Hang on. So move this one was. Is there a better way I could do that? Oh, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. There's not much I can do there. Also, during this planning phase, you can do upgrades, but upgrades, as you note on this card here, upgrades require that you have memory or experience. I don't have either, so upgrades are kind of out of the question for the first round of the game. Okay, so now that we're done the planning phase, we go to the action phase. This goes in turn order. Of course, again, I'm solo, so I just do this myself. The one other thing though is I've got this robot player, so he will move also. So he basically just helps you spread across the map a bit. I'll start by moving him. So I'm going to move towards these question marks. I'll move this guy this way now. He's got 2 move, but as soon as you move into an unexplored area, you have to stop. You reveal the token, so that's a shield. With the robot, you still get the tokens, so I get on that side of the game. So I get a green shield. And then you flip the tile over here, and it's a mainframe. Okay, so normally you would have to move up the trace, but this is a robot, so I don't have to unless I decide to use the robot to execute this space. So I got a mainframe there, so that ends the robot's move. And now I'll do my move. I move 2 as well, but again, just like the robot, I'm going to stop right away because I'm surrounded by unexplored tiles. So that gives me a yellow. So I'll move 1 up on the yellow here. And I'll flip this over. Okay, so here I've got an abandoned shack. Okay. So now I've got to make a decision. So I've done my move. I'm not going to do the trace step yet. So it's a move and trace step. Normally you would increase the trace depending on which tile you stopped in. But with the robot, you kind of got to decide which district effect you're going to execute before you take the trace. So the next step in the action phase is district effect step, and that basically means deciding taking this action here. But I've got a choice here, so I can either prepare 1, which means pulling another shit out of my bag and putting it on my board, or I could program 3. Now I need 2 moves out here, so I think I want to program 3. Which means I'm going to execute this tile, which means I take this trace, so I will take 3 trace. So move this up 3. 1, 2, 3. Now you note that next time we got to do the trace roll step, I will be rolling a die. Okay, so I got 3 programming. So I'll move this 2, 1, 2. So that'll give me the pattern I need to get the rogue. And I've got 1 left. So probably what I'll do with that is I'll just try to get these blues together to get a row later. But that's about all. I can't make another pattern, so that's it for the district effect step. And the last step of the action phase is the launch step, which means I can execute patterns on my board and do stuff. So I've got this pattern here that matches the rogue pattern. So you dump the tokens to execute the pattern. So I'm going to dump these tokens. This is my dump area. Okay, that pays the cost for the rogue. The rogue is going to replace my default body, and now I have a new body. And now I've got all their abilities. So when you change the body, you also change your standee. So I got to go find the rogue standee in the box. I starting standee, the rogue, because I have exited, thematically, because we're hacking people's bodies, I've exited the original body I was in, and I've hacked a new body. And that's my new body there. Okay, so that's I'm done with my launch step. There's no other patterns that I can launch, so that ends the action phase, and then we'll move to the combat phase now. I have no enemies attached to me, so we basically skip the combat phase in this round. And the next phase is the quest phase. That starts with the player activity step. So to execute the quest phase, we're looking at the scenario card. And so on the scenario card, you'll be looking for the player activity step. There is no player activity step on that scenario card, so then we will look at the world activity step, which is down here. So I'll read that. It says reduce the time track by 1, so time ticks down to 4. And then if the time track is at 0, it's not, so that won't happen. So then the second thing is also 0. So that's all that's going to happen, is time's just going to tick down. And that ends the first round. Now we pass the first player token, basically. But again, playing solo, so I would just doesn't pass to anybody, it's just me. And so we go to the beginning of the next round. So beginning of the next round, now we have a trace roll step. I am rolling a die because my trace is high here, so I will roll one of these dice. I rolled the pip there, see that symbol? That means I have attracted the attention of the enemies, so I'll draw one enemy card, and it attaches to me here, so I've got a ZOE attached to me that I have to deal with. Now, when you do attract an enemy, your trace resets back to 0, so that will go back to 0. Okay, that's the end of the trace roll step. Now we're going to refill our launcher, so go back to my bag and draw tokens until I fill up all the light areas again on the launcher. Again, top to bottom, left to right. Oh, and I guess I've forgotten to to look at my augments here. I'm supposed to have +1 programming because I have this program master. So yeah, I totally forgot about that. So I should have had an extra program. So maybe I wouldn't have needed that. Well, I still would have needed 1 more program. So I still needed that program 3 from the district effects. Also, yeah, I guess I should have looked at these. I didn't look at these, but this one says the reconstruction protocol says once per launch step, I can spend a memory and a chosen player can recover a health. Obviously, don't need that yet because I've been damaged, and I have no memory. Memory is the blue track, so that one I couldn't use, but I do have programming +1. Okay, so now we go to programming step. You'll notice that my programming on the rogue is 5, and then now you remember that I can use my +1, so I got 6 programming to make patterns. So you'll notice the enemy has patterns on them, and so that's one way to help you defeat the enemy. Is you can execute these patterns to do things to them. Okay, and that's pre-combat, so you can only execute those patterns during the launch step. So we'll want to look at that. So if I can get the star on these cards indicates whatever your core data is. Mine is blue, so for me the star is blue. So this top pattern basically is blue, blue, and if I can do that, which I already have that over here, I can deal damage equal to twice the amount of my memory. Awesome. I have 0 memory, so that's not going to do anything. But I also, the second one here is core data question mark, so that's core. So blue and anything can get me more memory. And you can only execute these once each during the launch step. So I could get 1 memory and then deal 2 damage. That's not too bad, because I do have enough blue to do that. So that's a possibility. This other one is question mark, blue, star question mark. That means basically blue and any 2 others. That will give me a corruption, and then I could discard this guy outright instead of fighting him. But we only have 4 corruption, and we can't have 0 corruption in this scenario, so that's probably not something we want to do. The other thing I want to note about the enemy is he has 8 life here, and then these are his attacks. So, as far as patterns go, I think, we've got the 2 blue together, so we probably just want to put something beside this blue so we can execute these 2 things. So I've got 6 programming here. And the other thing I want to look at, I forgot to, every time you get a body, you draw a new one. So I could also acquire another body. Basically, when you acquire another body, this stacks on top of that, the one you've got currently. It's good to have extra bodies because when you reset, there's like a 90% chance that you'll lose that body. So having extra ones is good. But I kind of like the body I have right now, so I don't really want to replace it. So I think, I guess I should probably also look at my goal card here, which says launch a core basic pattern, so basically launch a blue pattern. I can't really do that right now because I need the blue to attack this enemy. So I'm just going to focus on that. So I've got 6 move, so I'll probably move this red down here since I only have 1, and I'll use that for this gain 1 memory part, and then I will 2, 3, 4 move that up here, so I've got this basic pattern up here that'll give me a shield, and move that one up there. I've got 1 more program step left, but that's nothing really I can use for it, so I'll probably just use that. And it's a programming step. Again, I don't have any memory or experience yet, so I can't upgrade anything. So we'll move to the action phase. So, action phase, let's move the robot here. Again, I'll go here for this question mark, so we get to see what this question mark is. That's meaningless at this point, but it is specific. It pertains to the scenario. Okay, so we get another reroll. So we reroll up another one. And flip this tile, and we've got a high building here. Let's get that back on here. Which, if I use that, will give me a prepare 1 and a program 1. Oh, one thing I didn't notice is this trace on this other side here. That trace executes if you don't move from the tile. You just stay there and execute the district ability. Then that will execute. And here, maybe I'm not sure how close you can see these. I'll put maybe 1 here so you can see up close what it looks like. So this is the trace you receive if you stay on the tile, trace if you end on the tile from moving, and then the district ability stamp here. This number is just for so. Okay, so that's it for the robots. I'm going to move 1 this way. And I'm getting a red. So move the red up 1. Put this tile over. And I got a fortified sanctuary. Okay, so now I got to make a decision. District effect set. Which district effect balance? I can prepare 1 and program 1, or I can gain 1 chosen basic data token. I'll gain the data token, so that's this tile here. That gives me 3 trace. 1, 2, 3. And basically, gaining a basic data token means I get to choose one of the basic ones. I've got the same. I've got an extra blue. Probably good to take blue for now. That's my core data right now, so I think I have extra ones of those because a lot of the cards will reference core data, and so that goes in my dump. It goes into your dump. Yeah, so that's it for the district effects step, and now we do the launch step. Okay, so I'm going to do the enemy card, 2 of the enemy card steps. So start with this bottom one, which requires a core data and any. So I'll execute these, and that's just going to move my memory up 1. And the second one I'm going to execute is the top one here, which is a core data and a blue, so it's these 2 here. And that will deal damage equal to twice the amount of my memory, which is now at 1, so I'm going to do 2 damage to that enemy. 3 damage tokens. Come on, enemy. And then I have a basic pattern up here I can execute, so I'm going to execute that as well. And that will give myself some more shields, which I'm going to need in the combat step. So I'm going to make sure that's on. Okay, that's it for the launch step. We got 2 left, but we can't really do anything with those. And that brings us to the combat phase. So now we get to do combat. So here's the combat phase. There's 2 parts to that, so I'll put that up there for your reference. But for the combat phase, first thing we're going to do is roll the dice. So for the enemy, you always roll 2 dice. You roll a die with a number on it, and a die with these symbols on it. So they're both purple, but one has numbers and one has a damage symbol. We'll roll those. And then you're going to look here at my attack. So my attack here is 3. So I get to roll 3 dice. So take 3 dice. And then you can add dice by using this red lightning effect. So I'll do that just to show you how that works. So I'm going to spend, I only have 1, I'm going to spend 1 to use an extra die. So I can roll 4. And then you're just going to roll those all together. Pretty simple to combat. So roll these all together. So these are my attacks here. And these are the enemy attacks. Okay, so what does the number mean? So the number means that's basically how many enemies are going to attack. I rolled a 3. I only have 1 enemy, so it doesn't really make a difference. But if I had 3 enemies here, this die would go on the 3rd enemy. And that would basically mean all 3 enemies were going to attack me. But because I only have 1, it goes here, and only this guy is going to attack me. Now, 3 is the most that can attack. There's 1, 2, and there's also a blank sign on this die. You see here, there's a blank side there. If you get the blank side, that means the enemies don't attack at all. But basically, this guy's going to attack. Okay, and then I go first, and so you can use one of your abilities at a time. You see this top ability has a arrow around it, and what that means is I can spend as many dice with that symbol as I want to execute that one. These ones you can only do once. I don't have any of these symbols. I have all of this top symbol on, so I might as well just drop all my dice on that first one. I get 1 damage for each one of those, so that basically I'm going to do 4 damage. So I'll replace one of these with a fiber. And so now I've done 6 damage. He has 8 health, so he's still alive. If I would have killed him, then I wouldn't have to worry about his attack. Okay, so now he's going to attack. He rolled this this symbol here. You can see that there. So you reference his card, and that says 2 damage. Okay, so I have 2 shields. So you have an option here now, so I can use shields to block the damage or not. When you use shields, decide to use shields to block the damage, you have to use all the shields that you can to block the damage. So you can't block partial damage. So I couldn't say, oh yeah, I'm going to block with shields, but I'm only going to block 1 and I'm going to take 1 damage. You can't do it that way. You have to do it all or nothing. I'm going to use my shields. He's doing 2 damage. I have 2 shields. So basically push my shields down to 0, but I don't take any damage. There's only 1 enemy, so now this die slides forward until it gets until it comes off the top card. So this enemy is considered the top card. Since it's on the top card, it's going to go right off, and that will end combat. Okay, and that's the end of the combat step. Now we go to quest phase. Again, we don't have a player activity step, so that's not going to happen. The world activity reduce the time by 1, and then due to the scenario, the other triggers on the world activity don't happen until the time track gets to 0. So that's it for that round. And so now we go back to the beginning. But I think I'm going to end there. So I've gone through basically all the rules of the game. The only thing you haven't seen is the upgrade, which is not a big deal. You basically just spend, and I'll go through what you can do. So you can spend memory here. And so I could spend this memory to discard a data token. So I could, take a data token and just remove it from the game. I can gain a basic any token, so I could grab another token of any color. Or I could spend it to equip an augment. So that's what I didn't show you. So that's one thing. So when you get these augments, they have a cost on them in the bottom corner here in memory. So when you get those, they come in unequipped. So basically when you get them, you slap them up here, unequipped, and then during the upgrade step or upgrade phase, during the planning phase, then you can spend a memory to equip it, and then it goes down here, and then it just stays equipped. So that's one thing we didn't go through, but that's how the augments work. Yeah, the other thing you could do is if you can spend 2 experience to increase your maximum health. So that's just increasing this. Whenever you do that, you also increase your health by 1, even if it's below maximum. You can spend 2 experience to discard one of these guys, and every time, and you'll notice that it's always a light square under these. So every time you remove one of those, you're going to get more spaces to launch your resources to. You can spend 2 experience to get one of these guys, which is a wild data token. These are really good because you can use them for any color. Also, some advanced patterns will require a wild token. And the last thing you can spend 2 experience on is to draw 2 of your class augments, and then you get to keep one of them as the bottom block. So that's what upgrade does, and that's kind of the last thing I didn't show you. Otherwise, everything else we've gone over. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this was an informative video and you've gotten something out of this video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. That will help me keep making new videos. And as I said, I will be back with a review for Tamashii Chronicles of Ascend after I've played it some more and confirm my